Here we are, another CIRF report, and some big energies coming between March 2nd to March 8th. And two of those is the Pisces archetype, and another one is the Virgo full moon. Two big energies. Which one's going to dominate? That's what our discussion is going to be around. Or are those two going to work together to give us a big energetic effect? All right, here's our summary slide, and we have a low congruency score because our outlier Dreambot with the dashed green circle represents the collective unconscious, and it's sort of looking out towards Aries, and obviously that's really pointing to the sun going into Aries. That's about the 20th of March. So it's looking ahead, which is not unusual for the collective unconscious. Related to this week is more of time, and that's father time is Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces, going into Pisces, and that's a big move. I've done a video on that, and I highly recommend that you go watch that. I'm going to try, I think I'm only limited to put one card up, so I have some other videos for you to watch as well, and we're going to go through those, but I'll probably save the card for the full moon discussion. Anyway, Saturn leaving Aquarius, going into Pisces, and conjunct with Mercury. And we'll talk all about that. But that's where the Dreambot really is only overlaps this week, is the Saturn influence with time. Other than that, we're looking at total Pisces for the I-Ching and for the astrology, because we have Mercury and Saturn going into Pisces. We have two planets, both Mercury and Saturn, leaving Aquarius, going into Pisces. And then we have some, Sun and Neptune that are already there. So it makes a total of 4 planets eventually in Pisces. So grows through this week is more and more Pisces. However, we also have this Virgo full moon. It does not appear to be indicated in the I-Ching. So there's this blue circle represents the I-Ching, not really inclusive of the Virgo full moon. So now I'm wondering, is this Pisces so dominant that it overshadows even a full moon energy? And that's what we're going to be looking at as we get into the astrology. But overall, I'm calling this for initially a continuation of that joy energy with the Jupiter and Venus, which is coming together at the time of this report, very close to now. I had a picture over on Telegram that they were about 0.5 degrees apart, and they'll be going exact here shortly, or just past each other. Let me check that really quick. So I'm doing this report on March 1st. Yeah, I still have a little less than a half a degree left until full conjunction. I don't have a specific time for you, but sometime close. And if you go out into the sky, I can't see it today because there are going to be more clouds around here. But if you have an open sky to look at, tonight would be a great night to do that. Last night was magnificent. All right, so that energy of Venus and Jupiter and the joy and the overindulgence is going to give way to a growing sense of Pisces. And then we throw in this big, unpredictable Virgo full moon on the mix. So big energetic week. So it serves you to hang on, especially as we get into the solution slide. We're going to triangulate for our solution. And so you know exactly what you need to be doing, how to behave to best match this weird, unpredictable energy. All right. Some of it's predictable, others not so much. All right. Ready? Let's get started. And have you subscribed? Go to YouTube, National Dream Center, and subscribe there. We're also on Rumble and BitChute. Thank you for all your comments. I read all the comments, and certainly for sharing with your friends and family, people that you trust. we are hunting down two things here. We're hunting down the biggest influence so you can know what to expect energetically. But it's one thing to know what to expect. And then so number two is how to behave once you see that energy showing up. And that's what we do each and every week. Put out a new surf report on Wednesdays. We're also starting a new video series for lunations and future casting. Lunations is all about the moon and the moon cycles. So lo and behold, we're going to talk about a Virgo full moon. So the more in-depth discussion will be on those lunation videos. We're going to do those by month. So more on that here shortly. All right, let's go into the DreamBot. This is the collective unconscious, and it does seem like the collective is hunting and competition. A hunting competition is what it looks like, with the number one word at a very high search score, 132, is called targets. So targets is, if we're going to put that into astrology, if I would put it into astrology, I'd put it over into Aries. And all these red arrows supports it, including the word arm and competition, shot, and even spring is metaphorically in there. Spring is identified by sun going into Aries. So the whole thing is like, dream words can be metaphors, but in this case, spring is both the indication of sun going into Aries, but also can be a part of a gun, spring or spring loaded, yada, yada. So anyway, big time hunting, Aries, just an overall Aries influence. Could have, instead of hunting competition, just go ahead and put Aries. So the collective is clearly forward looking, and the word time is the other theme here, and that's the blue arrows. And so time is important. That's more of Saturn, but it's also kind of a time marker to the next big reliable, consistent annual shift is the sun going into Aries. So with spring and the word and the theme of time, I think that this heavy influence is forward looking, and I think there's going to be some big events that come from that based on the collective seeing that. Now, is the collective unconscious forward looking? Yes. And how far in advance? Well, from anywhere from about 2 weeks to 6 weeks based on historical data, and we can go outside of that as well. We can find examples that are manifesting only in 2 days. But what are we looking at there? That's the big question. Is it just guns and ammunition that's the problem here, or the newsworthy fallout, or is it just simply the sun going into Aries? Don't know. That's not something that I can answer in this video, but let us go into the astrology so we can get to the things that we do know. All right. So we're looking at the astrology in March that's within these vertical lines. That's this week from the 2nd to the 8th. And towards the end of our surf week, Saturn goes into Pisces. It's been in Aquarius for a couple of years, and now it is shifting. That's a big energetic shift. And I've done a full video on that. And so go look for episode 3 of Future Casting. It's all about Saturn going into Pisces. Big, big deal. Then we have Mercury going into Pisces. That actually happens first. And it just so happens that Mercury and Saturn are conjunct all week. Now, the thing about Mercury going into Pisces is it goes into detriment. It was coming from exaltation, meaning it's much stronger in Aquarius, and now taking a big hit in its strength. So it kind of feels cloudy. Mind is not thinking on all cylinders at that point. Once it goes into Aquarius, it's just weaker overall. Communication is a struggle, potentially. And in addition to that, we have Mercury with Saturn, as I mentioned. Saturn is planet of limitation and challenge, so now Mercury is extra challenged. Thoughts and communication, maybe short-term travel, are going to be very difficult, not just because of this conjunction, but they're also parallel. In other words, they're extra intense. This black line here indicates Mercury parallel Saturn, meaning they're at the same vertical component, or called inclination. Same inclination means that this energetic conjunction together in azimuth is extra strong. That's at the pretty much all week, and leads us up to the full Virgo moon. So as you can see, big week, big energetic week. Let's break it all down day by day. All right. Here's my first slide. And a lot of this will carry over from today all the way through the week, such as what I mentioned with, I'm going to show you the picture of it. We've got Mercury. This is at 4:51 or 4:52 p.m. Central Standard Time. Mercury, as you can see, is conjunct with Saturn, but past Saturn now, and then hops into Pisces. So already, here's the steps. No pun intended for my metaphor, but he's going to take a tumble. Mind is going to take a tumble. So number one, remember Mercury has been in Aquarius for the last couple of weeks, and exalted. So very strong in Aquarius. Likes to be in Aquarius because he gets a lot extra clear. Mind is clear. Knowledge, learning is easy. Communicating is just really easy. Stating your mind, travel's good. All that is good. But then step two was Mercury conjoins with Saturn. So now all of a sudden, this strong, albeit strong, is now going to be limited and challenged. And that now Mercury was still in Aquarius when that happened. But now Mercury goes into Pisces, so still conjunct with limitation and challenge, and goes into detriment. So now just like very cloudy head, very just everything's contentious according to what your perceptions are. Perceived of everything's contentious. Not just because, not necessarily Pisces, but because of all that I just described. Conjunct, parallel with Saturn, and now going into detriment is very hard for your thoughts, your communication, be able to understand and perceive people clearly. There's going to be some aspects, speaking of clearly, is with Neptune over to Mars. Might as well discuss that now, because I think I'm done with Mercury and Saturn. But your action is going to be challenged. You're going to feel the pressure to do things still. And that's only getting stronger as we go. And it also involves the sun. So sun is feeling the pressure to do stuff, and quickly, because Geminis are very adaptable and go get 'em kind of a sign. But it's trickery. You know, it's an illusion. You're confused in chaotic environment with that Neptune square. So that just makes for, a weak rational mind now with a strong illusions and fantasy, maybe even escapism. This is a high escapism kind of alignment where you want to do something. That's Mars. And you want to pressure to leave the area or escape. That's Neptune. Neptune's also representative of addiction. So you might notice an uptick in addiction, particularly around maybe the day-to-day stressors of the projects you're trying to get done. All right. So we have that. Then we have the waxing gibbous moon. It has just reached. This is again on the 2nd, so Thursday. The moon is considered a gibbous. So it's a strong, bright, more than 50% in Cancer, caring, and so productive and nurturing. and protecting. And it is productive because the gibbous stage or the waxing gibbous stage, any sort of waxing is more of the yang activity when it has to be with the moon. But we kind of got contradictions. We got the energy of getting stuff done, but now with Mars, it's trickery. So you might notice this halfway through your project, or it might keep you from getting started in your project, might translate into procrastination for you. A lot of issues with getting stuff done and feeling like you need to get stuff done. Okay. And then finally, on the positive side, still with Venus and Jupiter. Now Venus is just passed, but still conjunct with Jupiter. And we include Chiron in here, which is the healer, the ice, little, not even planet, rock, piece of rock, asteroid that's a meteor that is just an ice ball. But its metaphor is healing. And so healing, optimistic, indulgent, joy, it's extra intense, at least on the outset. So right now, the biggest energies are going to be the beginning of the week. It's going to be the joy of indulgence, that kind of thing with Venus and Jupiter. And then the other big influence is going to be the detriment in Mercury. Those two things are the biggest. Then just the overall Pisces is being established. You can see Saturn is about to, which we described earlier. We're not looking at very much longer, just a couple more days in Aquarius. And he too will then be in Pisces, so we'll have 4. But right now we have a growing number of Pisces planets, plus we add in Sun, sextile, Uranus. And so it's the future-oriented. Uranus is throwing change into the mix, but there's an opportunity there. So it's a Piscean energy, Piscean opportunity for your ego, right, to look forward to. But the point is more Pisces. The weekend conjunction, but mine is already in the dumpster. Reminder that so in order to get the most out of Pisces, I'm going to say this now and I'm going to repeat it later when we get into the solution, but you need to get out of your head because there's unreliable information there with Mercury in detriment and conjunct with Saturn and the Neptune influence on your yang. So out of your head and into your intuition. We talked a little bit about that in past CIRF reports. Foster your intuition. If you want some ideas on how to do that, human design, go look up human design and go get your free reading online. You can find that anywhere. Go free human design reading, and it'll show you what's called inner authority. Find out what your inner authority is, and then just go to YouTube and look up that inner authority. It'll show you how to intuit your way in properly with your design. If you want a reading, you can go to interzension.com and I can walk you through that. But you can also do this a little bit for free. At least the important things in human design are widely available. Okay, so then we have the Leo. The moon is in Leo for roughly 3 days here, 2.5 days-ish. And we have a growing moon. It's called the waxing gibbous still as it approaches that full moon in Virgo. But it's magnifying what's still, it's getting weaker, but it's still strong, the Venus and Jupiter influence. And now the Leo, entertaining, creative, childlike wonderment, leader type energy is your emotions too are easily aligned with it. So easy to magnify this energy, the Venus and Jupiter joy. So it's still holding on. Sunday, action is still confused and it is getting stronger. Mars at 21 degrees and Neptune at 24 degrees. So 3 degrees more for a perfection. And that will be the climax of this tricked way forward as the sun starts a square over to Mars. Ego now feeling more pressured to get stuff done, but it's tricked because it's with Neptune. Now, making this even harder is Sun and Neptune are going to enter into a conjunction, and it will be Sun-Neptune together square over to Mars. It's even harder. Still the waxing gibbous in Leo. It's extra powerful. It wants to get stuff done, and it has the pressure to do so with Mars, but your mind is limited. So you're not going to be able to rationalize your way forward to good, healthy, purposeful action unless you use your intuition, unless you use your inner authority. So there's a book called Inner Knowing, and that's more of an intuitive instruction manual and why it's important that you're going to need this. And that's one of the gifts of Pisces, to be honest with you. They're more empathetic and more emotional, but that gives them the gift of being more intuitive and clairvoyant, mystical. So we have it in us. And so the point is, get out of your head this week. Okay. Monday the 6th, very, very close. Saturn, 54 minutes. So just 6 minutes away from heading into Pisces. Late stage waxing gibbous. This is last call. And if there's any questions on that, please go to our episode 4, Lunation. That's our intro to Lunation. But inside that video, we're going to go through March as our example, March 2023. And follow-on Lunation videos we'll do each month in advance so that you can plan out your way forward. All right, so full moon in Virgo, as you can see here, it's setting at the time of the full moon, and it's conjunct with part of fortune. So there's a high focus. There's already a big focus on the big, bright circle in the sky at night. This is at sunrise, basically. And this is obviously Central Standard Time, 6:40 a.m. Central. And the part of fortune gives it more focus on here. Now, what's interesting is we talked about all this coercion or trickery with Mars. Now we've got a T-square on Mars, and it's a pretty tight T-square. And so on the one side is trickery, and the ego is wanting to, feeling pressured to get stuff done. Well, that's the same thing over here with the full moon and part of fortune together. Is there's this focus on doing things Virgo-esque. It's detailed, it's practical, and it's list making, and it knows what it needs to be doing, but its ruler is over here in detriment. Now, if you want more on this full moon, please go to the Lunation, but we're still trying to figure out if not quite the 4th, I don't know why it's turned blue here. It's a kind of a glitch, but we're looking at 59.7 minutes. And so what that means is 1 hour, less than 1 hour after the full moon, we have Saturn going into Pisces. So which one is stronger, the Pisces or the full moon? See right here, 7:34 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now Saturn is in Pisces. Two energies that are competing for each other, or are they? And the solution slide will help us on this endeavor, because it's going to look like the solution triangulation is preparing us for both Pisces and Virgo. We have the urge to do stuff, not by any other measure. I mean, yes, all this stuff, but for just the full moon in Virgo, it's a high time for getting stuff done. It's just feeling obligated to get stuff done, practical stuff, list. And that's going to be hard for all the things that we mentioned here. And then part of our Pisces influence is weakened, or mind is weakened. That's actually a benefit for Pisces, by the way, all right, to have a weakened mind, because we're going to feel our way through life in order to be properly and maximize your Pisces energy, your Pisces traits, is to reduce the amount that you spend up here thinking rationally, containing yourself, and rather you should be in your physical body in order to tap into the intuitive Pisces sense. So anyway, these 2 slides, incidentally, I've done videos on, and I encourage you to go do episode 4, which is the intro to lunations. We also talk about this full moon. And then go look at the episode 3. That's Saturn goes into Pisces, and this is going to be a big, big influence, not just for here, but for the next couple of years. And it describes what kind of things to expect in those couple of years. And then Wednesday, the 8th, is a waning gibbous, means we're shifting over to yin based on the moon. And yin means not a lot of doing. So as you can see the writing on the wall in our solution slide, we are going to be doing stuff, but not nearly as much as what these energetics would normally influence us to do. And for the moon side of things, right after the full moon, it starts the waning gibbous, meaning that it's shifting from yang to yin. And so we can be a very moon dominant force. We describe that in the lunation episode 3 as well. So go look for that. And be more yin as the new strategy for this, especially now that Sun and Neptune are together in a conjunction. So now it's a dreamy sense of ego. It's extra Pisces. This is an extra Pisces thing. And it's squared, so pressured to do stuff. But it's trickery. It's not knowing who I am, really. Maybe an illusion of how much I can get done, or myself wants to escape. There's a lot of metaphors in here, but they're all kind of hazardous. It can be very hazardous if you're not doing this right, particularly if you're trying to use your rational brain to ascertain right action. You're not going to get it there. Yin is a receiving state in the moon, and that's the waning gibbous. It's also the whole waning side of the moon as the light side of the moon deteriorates into nothing as it goes towards the new moon. That whole side is yin, so it's more non-doing. It's buttoning things up. It's just maybe small edits here and there of your project, but it's about starting to receive rather than to put out. All right, here we go with the I-Ching. It's 25, hexagram 25. Innocence implies natural harmlessness and openness and pure intentions unsullied by ulterior motives. And what that describes to me is a combo of, you would talk about the joy, but this is just the overall Pisces in conjunction with the the Venus and Jupiter alignment, at least at the beginning, talks about open to joy and wonder. Unlock the best of Pisces by not being in your head. The hallmark of innocence is a willingness to treat all creatures with compassion and respect. Those who possess a pure heart are best guided by their instincts and intuition. This is all Pisces, and it's all verifying that, or indicating, we're not even into the solution yet, but it's suggesting, hey, be careful about Mercury and Pisces. Here it says, thinking too much severs links with the guidance of the heart. This is describing the very essence of Pisces. Sudden misfortune is likely. It is important to discover whether this is caused by some accident of nature or if it is the result of your own mistakes. If it was an accident, take no action. Let nature take its own course without interference. Do not try to come up with a clever, quick fix solution. That is Mercury in Pisces. And here's the overall energy, the way I see it, before we get into our button up all the influences. We have a lot of big energies, as I mentioned, but the red starts peaked at, with Venus and Jupiter at the very beginning of the week, but it quickly deteriorates as Venus walks away from Jupiter. And what rises out of that is the Piscean. This is the Mercury goes into Pisces, gets just one more planet in there and dominant, but plus the sextile gets stronger with the Sun and Uranus in Pisces. Well, Sun is in Pisces. And then, of course, the blue is where we have the Virgo full moon. So as we talked about, or maybe I failed to mention, is we looked at the full moon in Virgo, right? And you look at where its ruler is, and it's in Pisces, so it's weakened. And one of the biggest traits for Virgo is going to be the mind, but mind is weakened, right? So it's a little stunted, just a little bit, slightly stunted full moon energy. But I think what we're going to see is actually the Pisces added plus the Virgo moon as we get into the solution. Just wait here. That's about where we're going next. And I think you're going to see probably this dashed green line towards the end of the week. In other words, the same energies that you would have and behave for Pisces will be the same behaviors that you would instill for the full moon, the slightly stunted full moon. And I think they're going to work in conjunction. Maybe hard to conceive of a mix between Pisces and Virgo. In some ways, they seem kind of opposite. But I think you can have a synergistic effect. Let's go to the solution slide first. Not the solution slide, but the summary of the influence. And here it is. The joy and overindulgence of Venus Jupiter begin to give way to the compassion and introspection of Pisces. This magnificent energy will be strong enough to particularly mask the brilliant and analytical Virgo full moon, partly because of its stuntedness, but as we're going to see, or synergize with it. As the week matures, more and more emotion, spirituality, transcendence becomes the strong themes, along with idealism and self-sacrifice. So with that, let's go back and start nailing down the solution. According to the I-Ching, the first solution is 21, hexagram 21. Current circumstances call for confronting a thorny situation and cutting through it. Remember not to escape. There's no escapism here in our solution so far. Though your actions may be vigorous, they must not be hasty, severe, or arbitrary. Be sure to carefully consider all circumstances. In the case of a serious disruption of relations or events, forgive, but don't forget, at least not until the person has made reparation for his or her mistakes. If corrective action is necessary, make certain that it truly fits the crime. When rules have become slack and useless, only through institution of clear and swift penalties can their effectiveness be restored. Where serious issues of justice are at stake, keep careful records and do not hesitate to go public with the truth. And now remember that hexagram is a solution part. So behaviorally, you can use that directly. Don't hesitate to go public with the truth, is what the I-Ching says. Now let's put the conversion slide in. And what we have is Saturn. It's the Pisces influence, at least for now, trumps that full moon just barely, but that extra Saturn influence is big and bigger than anybody thought. in my opinion. 30, hexagram 30 in the rave, and we have Capricorn as our sidereal solution. So 30 is the clinging fire. Remember, this is our second solution suggestion, and we're going to triangulate all these. But we have enforcement, the discipline to maintain right action. Well, that's perfect for the Virgo full moon. So you can already see that we're synergizing with the full moon. Additionally, the assertiveness to purge the inferior while accepting to lead the weak. The strength to eliminate negative feelings. That is a big challenge for Pisces. So already we can see just in those two sentences the combination of Pisces and Virgo. Pretty cool. And so here is what we have for our solution triangulation. We're working with cutting through, slow down in your reactions, swift penalties to reinstate slack rules, but not hasty, not severe or arbitrary reactions, all right? Then remember the rave said discipline to maintain right action. That's definitely the Virgo, which is to purge the inferior and lead the weak. That means don't waddle in negativity. Don't waddle in negative emotions. That's speaking to the Pisces. And we have the sidereal solution. So we need to bring in some Capricorn behaviors. That's ambition, prudence, practicalness, goal-oriented. All right. So as we triangulate for the behavioral solutions, we now see verification that the Virgo, all right, let me start over. As we triangulate for the behavioral solutions, we now see verification that the Virgo full moon does indeed make a significant impact on our decision making, particularly during the full moon period. First, do not be emotionally reactive. That is focused on the Pisces, but I think the Virgos are also very try to pride themselves in not being emotionally reactive. But there's going to be a lot of emotions there because Pisces is dominant. So do not be emotionally reactive. Slow down in all this emotionally charged energy. With Mercury weakened this week, you'll need to rely on your Piscean ideals, otherwise known as values. But Pisces are very idealistic, or can be. And so hold true to those ideals. That will help guide you. That will help steer your intuition even. And stay true to your Capricorn goals. Now that's bringing in the sidereal solution because of Saturn going into Pisces. The rave warns against waddling in negative emotions. So free yourself from negativity, but without escaping. Do not escape. And it's high time for escaping, no pun intended. There's an energetic influence to escape. When you've got Mars square Neptune, there's going to be a lot of urges too. Instead, cut through the emotions and reinstate grounded Capricorn discipline, orientation, and responsibility. The rave suggests becoming the leader of the weak. Don't be the perceived victim of your environment. See yourself as the creator of your life and maintain right action. Now, putting it all together, I'm asking you to stay out of your head. So how are you supposed to maintain right action? It's a felt sense. It's intuition. It's human design's inner authority. So go do that now before this week starts. And if you haven't already, and you can do it for free, search human design, free human design reading or chart, say chart, human design chart for free. Put in your data, and now part of that outcome will be your inner authority. Go on YouTube and look up what that is for you. The phrase that I'm planning on using is openness is not weakness. That is a very Piscean thing. You're not being weak. You're actually being strong by staying Piscean open. Okay. Yeah, you can be ideal and open. You can have values and be open. Okay. And that's what I ask you to do. It's not weak to be open and open minded. I lead myself with confidence and determination this week. And the only way to really do confidence is the inner knowing, because mind, not reliable. There's trickery with Neptune. It's going to be very tricky this week. A lot of changes in the energy. Stay true to your ideals. Stay true to your ideals. Write a list of your highest values, okay, before this week starts, and start practicing intuition, feeling and felt sense of inner knowing. That's the confidence and determination that we're calling upon this week. Based on all that, then we do the Capricorn solution with ambition, prudence. You have most of the week with a waxing gibbous moon, and that's all positive for as long as you are intuiting your way forward, and as long as you have that peace inside, that inner knowing that you're doing the right thing. This is a great week to get some really genuine life-altering stuff done. Big or small, doesn't really matter. The Mars aspect is in Gemini, so it's just adaptable. Whatever you need, but I would rely more on moon, the sun casting its power on the moon, the waxing gibbous, to get some pretty important stuff done, even in a very energetically challenging environment. All right, everybody, that's it. Thanks for your comments and shares. I appreciate you. And everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week. All right. We'll see you next week. Cheers.